Just nope. Oh man, that's a different sound. Oh, you just just punching it. I'm first going to look at you in the impact position because it's the most important. Everything the ball does, how far it goes, how high it goes, how much it spins and curves, is a direct response to the laws of physics in motion at the brief moment of impact. On the left is Tiger hitting an iron. This is video I took at last year's US Open. On the right is Grant Wade hitting the driver. Grant was a PGA Tour player during the 90s and now is one of the top instructors of tour players. Grant's teaching partner is a good friend of mine, Joe Mayo, who lives in Las Vegas. Grant was considered by many as having one of the best and most fundamentally sound golf swings. At impact, they both have the majority of their weight on the left side. In fact, the average pro will have 85 to 90% of their weight on the left side at impact. I've drawn a red block from the center of their ankles to the top of their head, and you can see that the red line off their left foot is passing right through their belt buckle, showing how the center of their mass is right on top of their left foot. They both have extended arms through impact. Their elbows are close together and not separating. Having extended arms and weight forward allows them to control the low point of their arc of their swing. When hitting the iron, this fundamental allows the placement of the low point to be in front of the ball, so that they hit the ball first and then the ground, producing the maximum compression of the golf ball. These fundamentals also allows for the highest level of consistency in controlling the face angle and club path during impact, so that you in turn have the highest level of consistency in hitting whatever optimal ball flight you want. Cedric, the purpose of swing analysis is not to change the look of the swing so it is more pleasing to the eye. The sole purpose is to change the negative ball flight that is impacting your score. My first goal for you is to help you hit your irons further, and therefore I'll be looking for those missing fundamentals in your swing that impact your ability to create club head speed with the irons. You create sufficient speed with the driver, but not with the irons. When hitting on flight scope, you were hitting around 100 yards with the 8-iron. And for you, that needs to be closer to 135. Now, the swing on the left was the video I took of your swing at the beginning of the full swing session. This was before I made any adjustments in your swing. And I'm going to compare you to Grant Wade, and I have you both at impact. And let's go over some of the differences between the two swings that might influence hitting the ball a little further. First, let's look at weight distribution. The average pro will have 85 to 90% of their weight on their left foot at impact. And you can certainly see that Grant has a huge majority of his weight on his left side. That red line coming off his left foot is passing right through his belt buckle. And you definitely have more weight on your left side than you do your right side. And that's very good. That has a small contribution to costing you some distance, but I think there's another area of your swing that we would focus on first. But I do want to point out that you are shifting to the left and have more on the left at impact than you have on the right. So you're not doing any kind of a reverse weight shift. More significant is not where your weight is, but where your hands are. The red line is your left arm and the blue line is the shaft of the club. And you can see there's a dramatic difference between Grant's position and your position. Grant's hands are right in front of his left thigh, and your hands are in front of your right thigh. So Grant has what we call shaft lean, which allows him to hit down into the golf ball with a forward lean in the shaft. A forward lean in the shaft is optimal because it allows you to hit the ball before you hit the ground. It also allows the ball to come off the face of the club with a slightly lower trajectory, which also gives you more distance. Grant will be hitting down into the ball, and you will be hitting more level to the ball. And that will cause some problems. If you're just a fraction off, you're going to hit the ground behind it. If you're try to avoid hitting the ground behind it, you're going to hit it on the upswing and hit it thin and blade it. So we need to have the hands forward at impact. There are some drills that you can do that I can show you that you will capture this feeling of compressing the ball with a downward swing. You will gain that shot. You'll start to feel that shot very quickly in the first session once you start executing some of these drills. It's not enough for me to tell you about a fundamental. My job is to help you experience the fundamental, and that's the purpose of drills. I do want to comment a little bit on the final finishing position. On the left is as far around as you took your follow through. This is the end of your follow through, and Grant took his a little bit further. This is Tiger at the US Open last year, and you can see even has a more completed and full finish than even Grant had. And so you don't let your elbows release at the end of the swing. You keep both arms very, very straight, very rigid. This position provides a clue that through impact you're not releasing the club properly, because if you were releasing the club properly, you wouldn't be able to stop in this position. That your finish would be more around to your back. You'd be more like Tiger in the finish if you had the proper release. Here you are at the top of the backswing, and you do have a pretty good angle in your left arm and shaft, just like Tiger does. He has taken it back a little bit more. He's loaded his hands a little bit more. You were experiencing something new when I introduced the correct way to hinge your wrist. And I'll show you in a minute how that did produce a little more of an angle there when you were doing those drills for me. Here we are in the 5 position in the downswing. This is when the left arm is parallel to the ground. And one of the things that we can observe is how much of that angle did you retain in your initial move to the golf ball. You had more angle at the top of the backswing, but you've already lost some of that angle on the initial downswing. Tiger actually has increased that angle in his initial move back to the golf ball. So he has continued to load the power in those hands. So he's going to have more to unload when he hits the ball. Okay, I want to compare the original swing on the left before I introduce this feet together drill to you. And I want us to observe how it changed the way you swung. So let me take the swing back, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to stop it at the 3 position. Swing on the left was your original swing, and I'm going to stop it when this arm is somewhat parallel to the ground. And we can see that the angle of the club is right there. Okay, so now I have the left arm parallel to the ground and then the shaft. And then that little drill and the way you moved your wrists now is dramatically different. Difference in the angle is 24 degrees or something like that. You are loading your hands with a lot more angle in your drill swing than you are your original swing. Now you end up going further back, and you went a little bit further back as well, but in both instances, I'm seeing a lot of good things. One, I'm seeing it was certainly much easier for you to keep your left arm extended and straight when you hinged your wrist properly, whereas on the left, the way you were moving your wrist tended to break this left arm down a little bit. You ended up having more of a bent elbow, which will also rob you of power and speed. Now let's come down to impact. I'm going to stop it at the 5 position. Now we're on the downswing, and you can see on the right, you are in the angle very similar to what Tiger had when we were looking at the difference between in the 5 position. On the left, you've lost that angle, and on the right, you've retained that angle. Now there are other fundamentals in your golf swing that I would like to adjust and make better, and get that shaft lean a little bit more, get your hands more in front of the ball. But I want to build your swing properly. I want to do it in the right sequence. And you first have to develop ownership, develop a natural ability to repeat this new wrist action so that you then can shift your attention to other pieces to work on. But this is the first piece. And this piece alone will make the greatest improvement in your ball striking and distance. I will tell you that before I started videotaping your swing when you were first doing the drill, I captured several of the swings toward the end of the session where you were doing the drills. I didn't videotape your first 2 or 3 drill swings. Those are actually better than the one that I have here, and you tended to lose this feeling in your hands after a while, and particularly after you went to a wider stance. Doing the drills improved your normal swing, but your best shots weren't captured on tape. We'll look at one of your swings on the course. This was, I think, from the fairway of the first hole we played. There's no question that your backswing is so much better than your original golf swing. The backswing on this swing is so much better. You are making a really good load there. This shaft is really getting loaded in your hands to a much greater degree than your old swing. So that is a very good positive. The follow-through is not as good a release as the swing you have on the right. As you come through, it was a little bit more of that tight, rigid finish. That better swing is still inside of you, but it's not coming out every time. Just based on 5 or 6 swings of a drill, you're going to have to spend a little bit more time on it. I'm going to let this swing now play in normal speed and watch the swing on the left. You can kind of see how as you go through the ball and prepare for the finish, you start really freezing up, almost wanting to hit like punch shots, have a quick freeze right at the ball instead of more of a whip through swing. So in conclusion on your full swing report, your driver performance was very good. I did not see your driver being the main reason you may not shoot the scores you want to shoot. I believe your iron swing, your approach shot performance is what has the best opportunity to improve and then would result in lower scores. And we just need to create an iron swing that allows you to have a little bit more club head speed so that you're hitting it further. So by increasing club head speed, you're going to hit more greens from more places on the golf course. And that will in turn lower your score. Now, the best way to develop your swing, the one thing to change in your swing that's going to give you that additional performance is in the wrist hinge, in learning how to do that. But it's not going to be a difficult task. We've already found the drill that works, and you just need to practice that until that feeling is just so grooved and owned by you. If we have an opportunity to work again, we're going to hit an awful lot of the feet together drills, but then we're going to learn how to retain that feeling that the drill gives you and still apply it when we get a normal stance and a normal backswing. You know, the frustrating thing about golf is to be doing something wrong, not have a clue how to fix it. Well, that's no longer the case. We now know how to fix it.